Jay, you are of Oompa Loompa height. You are not going to be recruited to the CIA, the FBI, or anything. The FDIC is not recruiting you. What's up, everybody, and welcome back for season 2 of the Lone Limit podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm your host, Chelsie, and I believe this is your host, Jay.
Hey.
It's been a while, so I don't know if I did the intro right, guys. You're going to have to bear with us on this first episode, okay?
It definitely was an interesting setup today. It's one of those things where it's like, we know what we're doing, but we haven't done it in a while. So it's like, do we know what we're doing?
It's giving may muscle memory take over. You know?
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, once we get into the flow, we got it though.
You may notice something new in the screen today. Jay, why are you surprised? You got to do your own. It's the microphone, Jay. The microphone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mine's like a little hidden, but it's there.
That's why I motioned to mine. The way your brain has the ability to be surprised, but you were there in the room.
I'm just here for the plot.
We are starting early today. I can tell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Guys, it's been a minute. How you doing? How your mama and him? You know? I hope y'all are good. I know the world, for some people, is literally on fire. And for some of us, it's metaphorically. So everybody be safe out there. You know, stay in the land of Delulu with us. Hopefully for, about the next hour. While we go over the first book of season 2.
Yes.
But before we get into our book, Jay, I gotta update you on some bookish news that also set the world on fire.
Ooh. I missed the book tea. I've been so out of the loop. I've been in tennis world, so I'm locked in. Let's go.
Y'all, my co-host ditched me. Let's talk about that for a minute, shall we? I went from hearing from her every day, all day, to being like, bro, could you just send a flare? Let me know you're alive.
People are going to think I'm a bad friend in these streets. But it's just like, Okay, no. Okay, here's the thing. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, I'm a tennis player. We have 4 Grand Slams every year. In those 4 times a year, I am ghost for 2 weeks. Because
the only
it's
Grand
a Grand
Slam. Nope. The only Grand Slam I care about comes from Denny's. Okay? I want a Grand Slamage. All right? That's all I care about.
No. I am ghost for 2 weeks for every Grand Slam. Those are the tennis rules. Everyone knows this. And because the first Grand Slam of the year happens in Australia, the time zones are wonky.
She turned
honestly even worse
nocturnal.
Being on the West Coast.
She's not welcome to the West Coast.
I'm kind of here for it. The West Coast hours, it's kind of like my little nocturnal heart was like, I'm not mad at these sleeping hours, but it's complete opposite. Because when everyone else is awake, like I can tell people wake up because they start messaging me, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to sleep. Bye.
Meanwhile, you had
so like people on the East Coast, and I used to do this too in New York. On the East Coast, you wake up to tennis. Here, I watch it all and then go to bed. So it was very weird and wonky, and I felt very like zombie.
She was nocturnal, vampire. And then had the nerve when I would send her stuff, be like, "Isn't it your bedtime? Why you worried about me? You should be worried about yourself."
I definitely was like, "Why are you awake?" I was very judgy.
Worry about yourself, okay? That's where we at.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into this bookish news because a certain book was released for the fantasy girlies out there, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, a content creator called her Big Bex, and then I totally forgot her name and I've just been calling her Big Beck since then. But Jay, there's been some drama, okay? Apparently, the word special edition, it didn't keep its original meaning for Rebecca Yarros, and she released from what I can tell, maybe 4 or 5 special editions for the book.
Wait, at one time?
No, so here's the thing, right? It's been a big lead up since like fall of last year when she released the release date for it. And slowly, every couple of months to every couple of weeks, there was an announcement about a special edition being available for order. So people were like buying one, being like, oh, this is the special edition.
Right. Okay.
And go to sleep, wake up, and she was announcing a different special edition. So Rebecca Yarrow said, give me your money. I don't care what format it's in. I'm taking it. And then, to make matters worse, the almighty Tarjay got involved in the book world, Jay. And they decided to have their own Target special edition with like one-of-a-kind artwork, right? All kinds of stuff was promised.
Okay.
People stood in line at like 3 a.m. to buy this book, only to find out that they didn't hold any back for in-person purchase. So whoever did Target pickup got their books, and anyone who showed up in line got nothing.
Ooh.
To make matters worse, for the people who were out here acting like it was a Black Friday sale, turns out that little special artwork that was promised on the inside was like just Adobe image creator. There was nothing original about it. It was like one girl I follow was like, yeah, I went into Adobe and I searched dragon and it was like the first 3 photos.
Oh my gosh. That's bad.
So this got me thinking. When do we as readers stand up for ourselves and say, stop using us as cash cows? Because at this point, this whole Onyx Storm release is feeling like we're cash cows. Like the publisher and Rebecca knew that no matter what format she put it out in, somebody was going to buy it. Yeah. So it didn't matter.
It's giving big money grab vibes. Big money grab vibes. And here's the thing. I feel like, and sometimes, my question, I always ask this question in terms of like, is this the author? Is this the publisher? Like who's responsible for these kind of things? But this, I feel like if you're an author and you have this lead up and you have this type of like hold on the market, you should be able to be like, hey, let's do this right. How? Ooh. Listen, if you're making your money as a writer, I'm happy for you.
Not when you're part of the problem, Jay.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's especially, I would say this. I think like social media has been a really big equalizer for a lot of things because it's like, okay, you've done this, you got your check, girl, go ahead, cash it. But like, you can't do this again. Like it is known. So it's just like, what is your relationship now with your readers?
Consumers.
Because you kind of have broken the trust now. This is sticky. And drama. I'm here for, y'all know I love drama. That's not but this is okay. In all seriousness, like not joking. This is again why I asked, is this the author? Is this the publisher? Like who's responsible? Because
both.
You as a writer, right. But you as a writer who created the story that is then going into with the artwork and the special edition release and all these things, like you should have such pride in your product that this just feels, I don't even think cheap is the right word, but it just feels like you're cheating your readers. And then, like I said, like you kind of broken the trust. So what does this mean when you go to release another book? Like, what does this mean when you try to do another special edition? Like you really have broken the bond of the very people that you would want to be repeat customers.
Well, so here's my thing also about this issue is like Rebecca herself was out here promoting a one-of-a-kind special edition as well. Like it was like others had already been announced and then she was like, oh, here's a new version for you. I was like, so what's happening. You're well aware,
that
and
it's
you
not.
are.
Yeah.
So you're well aware of all these different special editions that you're signing off on, and you said, hey, let's throw another in the mix.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, no one has said anything about this Target mishap. From what I have seen, Big Bex is not out here putting out statements. Target said, we just gonna keep up the fuckery, and made some other announcements and just brushed past this. We ain't talking about it on this podcast, but, DM me. We'll talk about it later. Anyways.
I have a question, and I don't even know if you know the answer, but were independent bookstores also like involved with the special edition drop, or was it only like bigger stores?
So independent bookstores were involved. They do have one of the special editions available. Funny enough, in Utah, we had a big snowstorm in certain places. So some stores still have their special editions. So people out here throwing bows in the Target parking lot when they could just go to an independent bookstore and you might find a copy. It's not going to be the exact same copy, but it's still a special edition. You know what I'm saying?
Because it seemed like Target may have had like an exclusive one, but even then it really wasn't like all that. Okay.
It wasn't special.
Interesting. Yeah, so I that's interesting. I'm one of those people where I'm just like, if you can, if always, shop small, shop indie. So let's please support our local bookstores so they can stay in business and we can keep having them around. But obviously I am very aware that there's some people that live in more rural places where like bigger stores are like the only places they can go book shopping. So I also like that they're accessible for that as well. But yeah, I just feel like this is something where it's like the trust is really broken. It's really interesting. I think for this book, it's kind of like it's already happened, but I think it's really interesting to see like for another release, and how is this going to be treated?
I also failed to mention that those who pre-ordered the book on Amazon, Amazon silently canceled some of those orders.
Well, okay, wait, what do you mean by silently though?
There was no notification. People were just logging in to make sure that they had done it and saw that it was canceled.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. So when I tell you this was a rough book release, I mean, good googly moogly. Like, y'all struggled. Like, how did y'all overpromise and underdeliver? Like, Amazon. Seriously? Come on, bro. Some people didn't even get their books on time.
My thing is, like, if something happens, you gotta let people know so that they can make the decisions accordingly. But don't silent. Ooh, no. That's beyond shady boots.
Those whose orders weren't canceled, some of them actually didn't even get the book on release day. It just said, like, in transit, or, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't actually delivered on release day, which is the whole point of pre-ordering, is to be able to say you got the book on release day.
Yeah.
So while the world was reacting to that and I was sitting there kicking my feet, I also may have stumbled upon some other news. I haven't been able to 100% verify that this is true, and I hope that it's false. Stephanie Meyer, I don't care, author of Twilight, allegedly, this is all alleged, announced that she's going to write a book from the POV of Edward and Renesmee.
Who asked for that?
That's what I want to know. But also, what? That's gross.
I literally, my next thought was like, what's gonna be in it?
Like, one day she's 12 and the next she's 21, essentially, with how she was growing in the original books, from what I remember.
Yeah.
So, like, Rotunda is not about to be out here being the same mental headspace each chapter. Yes, I named her the wrong name. It's a thing on the internet. You just gonna have to roll with it, Jay.
The way I was like, Rotunda.
It's like how you call COVID different names. That's how the internet treats Renesmee. Like, one girl was like, could you imagine having to read an entire book and read the name Renesmee on repeat? I was like, can we just call her Renee?
when they named her that initially, I was just like, the outcome, no. But I was like, the thought behind it, cute, but
no.
That's interesting. Now, okay, I'm generally, like, I'm really not trying to be shady. I'm generally asking, like, who asked for that? Because I kind of feel like the Twilight story is done. Like, it's finished. Like, and I don't want to be dismissive but I'm like, can you write something new? I mean, technically,
I didn't ask for you to come back into the writing world, Stephanie.
I don't know. I feel bad because it's not even a fully functioning book yet, but I won't be reading it.
She ain't getting a dime from me anymore. I'm solid.
Here's the thing. So I think I probably shared my Twilight story before.
Yes.
But you were like, don't do it again. But
we're not starting off season 2 with a rabbit hole, okay? You see how close I am to this mic, guys? I'm really loving this. This is how you know that I'm serious whenever I get close, because I know Jay gonna have to listen to this later and know that we're not starting season 2 with a rabbit hole, okay?
But yeah, even with the original Twilight story, I didn't read them all. I think I read 2 of the books, maybe 3. And then I just watched the movie. So I definitely know I'm not going to go on a new journey with that. I'm so sorry, but it's just not for me. I mean, fair. I read Twilight by accident anyway, so.
It wasn't an accident if you made a bet.
We're not getting into it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a different rabbit hole we should go down.
Ooh.
Jay, we took some time off from the podcast, but we didn't take time off from reading.
No.
As you can tell by the stack of books waiting to be added to the library.
Oh my God, I didn't even notice it.
Stevie J face. Let's give the people some recs out of the books we read while on break. Honestly, guys, the break feels like it just started yesterday, so I'm confused on how we're already back for season 2. But it was months.
Quick. Like, it was lengthy and quick at the same time in a weird way. Like,
and I extended it.
Even the book for this episode, I really was like, yo, I gotta start reading. Like,
Yo, she messaged me and she was like, hey, did you know? She goes, did you know?
I thought I had a whole other week.
I said, Jay, we sat down and looked at the calendar and picked it all together. We planned it out together.
Yeah, so it went quick. Listen, I'm glad we had the time off. I'm one of those people where I like distance makes the heart grow fonder for me. Like, I don't want to say this on the internet, but I am a little bit clingy, just a little bit. But that's exactly why I need distance, so I can miss you, so that I want to cling back on. So this, I feel like, was a good break for us.
Well, you know me. If you are a clinger, I'm the complete opposite of that. So I definitely wasn't prepared to come back. I just looked up and I said, hey, I think we have a podcast to do. And then I started getting messages like, hey, we're season 2. And hey, an episode didn't drop. And I was like, oh, people are paying attention.
Can I just say, y'all, though? Those messages made my heart sing because I was like, they miss us.
That's very true. That is 100% true.
Yeah.
So why don't we clue the people in on some stuff we were reading while we were on break? What you got over there? Give me 2.
I'm gonna give you 2. I didn't read nearly as much as I thought I was. But also, I feel like we took our break right in the middle of like sports everything. There was basketball, football, tennis, like all the things. But I did get a couple of ones in.
We planned it perfectly.
We really, yeah. So I did have a couple of things. So, author that we actually read in season 1, I'm a fan. So I read another one of her titles. And so that's The 7-Month Itch by Tanvier Peart.
I'm so proud of you for saying that right. I would applaud.
I've been practicing.
I don't want to get yelled at later for, why are you clapping so loud into the mic? So.
Yeah, it was a journey, which is kind of funny. Like when I think of how to describe like LA Gets the D, I'm like, well, first of all, watch the episode. But then also it's just like, I feel like I have to take a pause to just like gather all of the feelings to be like, okay, boom, 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 boom. And that's kind of how I felt about this book too. Like it was one of those things where you go like, oh, like how was it? I'm just like, okay, a lot happened, all the things, so many emotions, so many like side plots, like, but like lock in. It's a ride, but lock in, buckle up, seatbelt, let's go. I'm a fan of her writing. I laughed multiple times throughout. I gasped multiple times throughout. It's one of those things where I feel like Tanvi is the type of writer where I'm just like, no matter what is actually on the page, like I'm gonna enjoy the journey. And I love that. So yeah, The 7-Month Itch by her, love that. Kind of funny based on like what we read for the first episode, but another one of the books I read was The Ex-Spy Who Maybe Loved Me by Christy Barth. It's interesting. This was actually the second book of a series. I did not read the first. I didn't realize it was the second book until after I already read it, but that's here nor there. This isn't my first Christy book, and when I realized after I read it that I had read other ones of her, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So she writes things like across a gambit, which I thought was very interesting because like some of her other books, I don't think I would have automatically assumed her as the writer. But then when I realized it, I was like, okay, cool. I can see the similar like writing vibes to it. But this book was really cute because it was like a retired spy, like basically like fresh off of retirement. And he's like, oh, I'm going to like the smallest town on earth so I can just be like retired. And then he like stumbles into like a relationship with like a very famous person from this very small town. And y'all know a small town, like people be whispering. So it was just like so much ins and outs, and then him trying to just be like a regular person who's retired, and then this other person is just like, oh, I'm so important, but I'm trying to be chill and I got all these things going on. And then, you know, when you're a retired spy in a small town, trouble come find you. So it was like so many like little twists and turns. I love that it didn't really focus on any of the like spy element per se. It was like his instincts and stuff, but it really wasn't like oh, let's go run down the block or whatever. Like it was really about him becoming a full-fledged person outside of the agency. And I love that it focused on that, not necessarily like, where's my gun? Like, I gotta run, you know? So it was really, I don't know, it was a really cute, it was a really cute story. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah. We gonna talk about you in spy books very soon.
Oops.
In the meantime, you and I did not read similar books while we were on break.
Of course.
My first book is called Blood of Hercules. 5-star.
Okay.
You can't read it, but the people at home can. Basically, this girl grows up in the foster system. The Greek gods are real. The Titans are real. Everybody's at war. And she finds out that she's part Spartan. She's actually Hercules.
Okay.
And she gets entered into what can be called like Hunger Games, but for the gods, if you will.
Okay.
And must fight to stay alive. But as we go, things aren't quite what you would believe. To the point that some of the plot twists caught me off guard. And that's a hard thing to do.
It is.
To the point that I was at a plot twist and I sat up in bed and said, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. No. We'll bleep that later, Jay. You know, you got me, cause yeah. But so good. 5 stars, 10 out of 10, no notes. I'm ready for book 2. I did find out that doesn't come out until essentially the end of 2025. So, yeah, just gonna hold on for that one. The other book is called The Davenports. It's essentially, it's a YA novel about a black family and their friends in 1910 Chicago.
Okay.
For anyone who watched Jeremy Piven and Mr. Selfridge on PBS, it's giving that vibe, if you know what I mean. So good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars purely because I didn't know there would be a cliffhanger at the end of it. So I thought I was reading a 1 of 1. Got to the end and said, what do you mean? How are we finished? I will tell you that I promptly went on Libby, found the second one on audiobook, and have already read it.
Oh, okay.
Jay asked me if it was good, and I said, I want to make it clear that I didn't read the book for the podcast episode until after I read book 2, if that tells you anything. I put off responsibilities so that I could finish this. No regrets. None. I can see the faces you're making as I say these words, and are you living under a social media rock? Is the only question I have.
I was living under a tennis on the other side of the world rock.
Responsibilities is from Rugrats, and no regrets is an old tattoo that someone got, and they spelled no regrets wrong. It was pre-Australian Open.
Got it. Okay, now that you say it, I do remember it. I wasn't the biggest Rugrats kid. I think I watched like the movies. Ooh. You remember they had all those like branded things when we were kids, and so you would have like I remember they had like a T-Rex and like an orange something. I had like those things. I had a Tommy doll, but I really wasn't a big doll person. But yeah, I know the Rugrats. I've seen episodes, but I really wasn't the biggest Rugrats kid. So that's probably why. Sorry.
We're gonna move on, guys, because I don't know if our friendship could handle this. And we're gonna move into today's book. How about that?
Yay!
Yeah. Jay. What did you have me read?
I don't like that. Okay, well, this week we read The Spy and I by Tiana Smith. I don't like those faces you're making.
You know what it was? Is when you have ADHD, sometimes you have too many thoughts at once and you just can't snatch one out and hold on to it. That's where my brain went for like 2 seconds. It was like 50 million thoughts, and I couldn't hold on to one, and then you caught me in the middle of that.
Okay. Do you want to release any of those thoughts?
I read the book. I remember the book.
Ooh.
Jay, we will not be reading another one.
I agree.
Okay. So let's start at the beginning. We have Dove, who is I want to get this title right.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Why? She's a cyber.
Great start.
She's a hacker.
Great start. No, I'm going to stop you at Dove. When I read it the first time, well, I only read the book once, but like when I read the name the first time, I was like, oh, it's a nickname. And then they kept saying it, and I was just like, why are they like using her nickname professionally? And then I was like, oh, her name is actually Dove. And then I was like, are people named Dove? And then I had this whole thing when I was like, have I ever met or do I know of a Dove? And then I thought of one. I was like, oh, there's like a popular Disney kid.
Dove Cameron.
Right. But then I looked it up. That's not her legal name. So now I actually don't know anybody named Dove. And it was a whole thing for me in the entire book.
Should I tell you?
Because your name is Dove and then your sister's name is Madison. And I was just like, you have lost me.
Should I tell you now that Reese Witherspoon's name is not actually Reese Witherspoon?
What, is her name Dove?
No.
Oh, but most people's, like, I get that. That's not the problem. But my thing was, like, the fact that I was like, oh, this one I know is a dove. And then I was like, but she's actually not a dove. So it was
Can I be honest?
I thought of pigeons the entire book. And it was throwing me so hard.
I read the book, right? But I didn't realize her name was Dove until about 50% through this book. When I tell you I didn't register that her name was Dove.
So what did you think her name was? You just just didn't care. It was like, oh, the main character.
I was reading her point of view. I didn't care.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, the first time they mentioned it, it didn't even catch to me that was her name. And then when they mentioned it again, I was like, wait. And then I was like, oh, her sister calls her that. It's a nickname. And then when, like, he kept calling her that, I was like, that's her name? And I was like, oh, this is rough. I thought of pigeons the entire book. I kid you not.
You know, doves and pigeons are not the same bird, right?
I do understand that, but they look kind of similar-ish. And okay, all right, never mind. Maybe I don't know my birds. My bad.
A dove is all white. A pigeon is the dove equivalent of New York City. What?
I thought the doves were gray.
Last time I checked, you release white doves at weddings.
Yeah, but I thought those were like the white versions of the doves. I thought they also came in gray.
I ain't never seen a gray dove.
This is not a bird podcast. This is not a bird. Listen, y'all, I am in no way a bird expert. I don't be bird watching and stuff. My mom does that. Maybe I'll call her after and ask her what the colors of the doves are.
All I know is Trey Songz says, turns out a dove ain't nothing but a pigeon. So don't ask me.
I thought of pigeons the entire book. I promise you. Like every single time I just saw a gray bird, whether it's a dove or pigeon, whatever, I saw a gray bird every time they mentioned her name.
So
continue.
Dove is a computer hacker. We're going to use that term because I don't know if the term that she uses in the book is YouTube friendly.
I loved her term.
She is a tester of certain things. That's all I'm going to say.
I loved her job title.
Yeah.
But we can, very friendly, we could say she was an honest hacker.
Yes, she was one of the good guys. She would go to companies and test their security so that they knew where their faults lied. And I appreciate that.
Yes.
Let's start off with the conversation between her and her sister Madison. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I still don't like Madison. Madison, I know you could probably kick my butt if you were real, but let me tell you right now, I'll still slap you. All right? Here's my deal. Don't ever in your life call your sister and start telling her how she needs to live her life. If she happy, that should all that matter to you. So to tell her you need to go out, you need to go on dates, and then to control what time she shows up to the restaurant. Yes, I understand that in the future we find out that there's a reason for why she could not be there at the certain time that she wanted to be there. But the fact that you thought it was a possibility to control this.
I mean, here's my thing is, why would you have the meeting at the same place that you were going to meet your sister? That was the part for me. I was just like, girl, meet them across the street. Meet them across the street.
Go somewhere.
A block away. Walk anywhere. Like, what? Yeah. I was like, girl, you ain't a good spy.
So then Dove Pigeon goes to what's supposed to be an interview about her computer skills. And she meets Mendez. Red flag number 1.
His name wasn't Mendez at the time.
I don't care. Red flag number 1. His badge didn't work at the door he was supposed to go to. And I said, that's weird. And then he spent the whole interview asking her about her sister. And I know this was more of a comedy, but Dove, you ain't stupid. How did you not notice that man didn't ask you any questions about you?
Yes. And so this is literally a note that I have. I said, I think Madison is a spy and Sam is using Dove to get info on Madison without Dove realizing. That's literally what I wrote based off of like everything that happened before she got to the restaurant. Because it was just like, one, their conversations before they had the actual interview, being unfamiliar with the office, and then the badge not working, other things like that. It was kind of just like and then Dove doing her due diligence of like reading some of the other what do you call them, like articles, and like not being able to put like a face to a name or anything like that. That like I was like, these are kind of red flag-ish things. And I was thinking, I was like, would I be clocking these things if it wasn't like very clear from like the title in the beginning that it's a spy book? But I was like, I'm a big spy fan. I think default that way. And I was just like, I was suspicious from like jump.
Well, so some of this was pointed out in like the back of the book, like the summary. I don't know if that's what that's called. So then I was the blurb, and I was like, I don't know if this is who they were referring to, if my spidey senses are just tingling, because they tingled the entire book. Like, I literally was like, lie. So I literally, I highlighted this. This is how this book went for me. I ended up annotating it. I don't know if I was just excited to be back for the podcast, but he asked her at one point, like, he just randomly goes, so your sister and you are close. When did you last see her? What do you like to do when you hang out? And I just highlighted that and went, red flag central. If this is an interview about me, why are you asking those questions?
Right. And then even if he was kind of using like the flirting to kind of get close to her and kind of disarm her, I was like, yeah, but why you keep asking about the sister? And then that's when I literally put, and I was like, I totally clocked it. Madison and Sam are spies, and Dove is just mistaken in the middle because she looks so much like her sister. So it's like one of those weird things where I was just like, I feel like it could have been executed. Okay. I don't love to critique authors, but this was one of those things where I was just like, I feel like that whole introduction portion
could have been
handled so much better.
There wasn't enough of throwing me off the scent, is what it was. It's like, we came in immediately to the nonsense.
Yes.
And I just went, so you're not even going to try and hide it?
Right. Like, exactly. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have known by, like, chapter 2 that, like, homeboy's a spy, the sister is spy, everybody lying to homegirl. Like, and that's how I kind of felt definitively by the time she sat down in the restaurant.
Can I be honest? Mendez gave me the ick.
Yes. I was like,
I've never had to use that phrase before, but it was the perfect way to describe how I felt about him, because after she sits down at the restaurant in some random I don't know, not Middle Eastern, but Slavic.
He was, I think.
I thought he was like Slavic.
Oh, maybe. Possibly.
I'm not an expert. Also, this was not real, so it's not like I could hear voices.
I think it's Eastern European, not Middle Eastern. Yeah.
So once she goes to leave the restaurant, Mendez finds her, protects her. He takes her to a safe house. He keeps flirting with her from chapter 2 onward. He kept flirting with her, which was the red flag for me also. But he says this line.
Right.
He goes, another highlight, guys. Mendez turned to me with a smirk, still walking. Now let's get upstairs and take a look at those briefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Hated that.
He's supposed to be the love interest in this book. No. Don't you ever. No.
Okay, so here's the thing. I know Sam / Mendez is supposed to be like the hot spy. Never did it feel organic to me, like, ever.
Well, it was also this thing of like, is he flirting to get answers? Is he flirting because he likes her? And then he's also lying the entire book, to the point that at one point I just wanted to smack him and be like, try that with someone else. Try it. Because when he says that he's her sister's partner, but he's flirting with her, I immediately said, no, you're not. Because if you were concerned about your partner who is currently being blacklisted by the CIA and has gone rogue and is nowhere to be found, the last thing you're doing is trying to hook up with her sister in the safe house hallway.
Right. And so one of the notes that I had was he never needed to lie about being her partner. He could have been upfront about the fact where it's like, once you figure out she's a spy, whatever, it could have been like, listen, I'm in with the agency. We're looking for your sister because she hasn't checked in and we're concerned about her safety. We found out that she was going to meet you, so that's why we were going to check up on her there. And obviously, you know what happened at the restaurant. You could have been as close to the truth without revealing that you were literally hunting her sister. So the fact that it was this whole elaborate, oh yeah, we're partners, whatever. Like, I remember distinctively fast forward when they ended up in Prague and the sister met her in the bathroom. And then when she was like, he's not my partner, I remember gasping because something just didn't feel right the whole time. And then when she said that, I was like, oh my God. But here's the thing. I didn't ever feel like Mendes was quote unquote a bad guy in terms of like what side he's on, not necessarily who he is as a person, but like I never thought that he was like a bad guy in terms of what side he was on. But it was just one of those things where I was like, but sir, why are you lying so extremely? You could have literally been like, hey, I'm looking for your sister because she hasn't checked in. We were concerned about her safety and we were coming to find you to find out. Like that could have been, that's close to the truth. It was everything. So this whole like, I'm the partner thing was like a weird, unnecessary lie.
I'm going to be honest. First off, Mendes always felt like the op to me. Just because I could tell he was lying and I just went, you're after her sister, you're the op. Then when her sister corners her in the random train station bathroom and she reveals that that's not her partner, I just went, knew it. That was my gasp. It wasn't like a plot reveal. It was like I knew it. It was like I
gasped in shock.
I was like, that's what it is. I knew it was off.
Okay, before we keep jumping into like plot points and stuff, what would you do if you found out that your sister was a spy?
I have to first imagine what it would be like to have a sister. Are we talking in terms of I find out my sister's a spy and I accidentally get mixed up for her scenario?
Sure, let's model the book. Let's use that in that situation.
Well, first off, it would have been like a push and shove at that table with that briefcase because I don't want it. My fingerprints are on it. I'd be over there trying to wipe it down. I don't want this. Who are you? You stranger? That would be the worst.
Stranger danger.
Listen, he would push it and I would push it. Push it. I don't want it. And then if I got on the back of some random man's motorcycle and ended up in this whole situation where I got to go to Prague, I'm going to remind them that while my sister may be employed by you, I'm not. So either run me my money or send me the hell home because ain't no way I am risking my life and limb for this country unpaid.
Totally valid.
Also, my clearance level doesn't clear me to know what's going on, but you want me to go along with the plan? I think there has been a miscommunication of high proportions here, sir. You don't want me at the table with an arms dealer making decisions on behalf of the US of A. We are not doing the same thing. I was actually thinking about this morning. It's very, very random thought. But in order to be like a Marine or something like that, you have to stay awake for 24 hours straight or some nonsense like that, like 48 hours. Ooh. And I just thought that's why there's like apparently like no women Marines. I could be wrong about the branch of service. Don't come for me in the comments. It was a random thing I saw on the internet. But I just thought I wouldn't pass that test purely because what is the point of this? And if that is my logic, just in boot camp, you should not have me out in the field. Okay,
it's safe to say you're not getting recruited for anything.
Listen, I have enough clearance to walk onto a base right now and go get commissary, and that is all I need, all right? I go with my grandpa, and I live my best life. Shout out to our armed services. We appreciate your service. That's all I got to say. Thank you and good night.
Okay, our minds went very different directions. For me, I was like, if I found out that my sister was a spy, I was like, I'd be genuinely pissed that I wasn't recruited too. I was like, I'm sorry, am I not valuable? Like, I was very much offended while reading this.
Jay, you are of Oompa Loompa height. You are not going to be recruited to the CIA, the FBI, or anything. The FDIC is not recruiting you.
I feel like I have a lot to offer.
In our friendship, yes. Yes, in our friendship. Absolutely.
Okay, anyway, I was like, the whole time I was like, I'd be offended that I'm not a spy too. Like, I was like, that would be the thing I'd be offended about. And I'm like, I definitely understand, because she was like, oh, she was lying to me. And I was like, I feel like lying as a spy is a prerequisite. So I was like, I wouldn't be mad about that. I was like, I would just be mad that you was out here spying and didn't think that I'd be useful too. That was the thing I was mad about the whole book.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Anyway.
Especially in Dove's case, because she got like hella computer skills. Like, I was actually mad on her behalf, but obviously we think of things very differently.
Well, while she might have good computer skills, her fight or flight instincts were not the best.
She literally could have just been on the information side of things. She don't have to be in the field. I'm not saying she's a field agent, because she's not, but she could have absolutely been on the computer side of things.
I think you still have to pass like the basic boot camp either way.
Oh, well then, yeah, I can't be a spy either, because anything with boot camp does not involve me.
Okay. I was like, you still have to go to the farm, as far as I know.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not doing CIA farms, real farms, no farms. No. I'll do a farmer's market, but that's my extent.
And you out here mad. All right. So moving on. We get to Prague. We find out that Mendez, who in my brain kept calling Menendez, is a liar. He a grade A liar. And
unnecessarily too. Like, there were so many times I was like, bro, you don't even need to lie like that.
This is where things also didn't sit right with my soul. Because Madison says to her non-spy trained sister, she needs to somehow break free of the spy and make it to a safe house. And I said,
I will say this. I thought that Dove's like attempt was not horrible. It was not horrible, especially untrained, all the things. It was not horrible. But I literally was looking at Madison like, homegirl, how'd she go do that? Like, literally, he locked her in as soon as they walked back inside the door.
I said, Madison, I'm not even mad at Dove, because Dove did the best she could with what she had.
She really did.
Madison, I think you need to go back to boot camp, because I'm not right up here. How you go?
She obviously don't know how to use the asset.
Madison, you told your sister, who likes to stay in the house and just try to keep her plants alive in between hacking companies, to break free and make her way to the safe house that you left unlocked.
Yeah, that I was like, what? And then
Madison,
she's like, oh, she's expecting me. And I was like, I would.
First off, number one, as soon as I broke free of Mendez, I'm taking everything off he ever gave me. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm buying new clothes. That was my thing. Second of all, I'm going to the airport, because when Mendez shows up to find me, like I know he will, we gonna be in public and I'm making a scene. I'm getting on this flight back to America and I'm going about my business, okay? I didn't want to be here. You didn't want me here. Your crappy boss said I should be here. Let's make that clear. So, I'm going, all right? Witness protection, here I come. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, no. At this point, I don't remember what percentage of the book this was, but at this point, I literally have the
38.
But at this point, I have the note. I was like, the Dove and Mendez romance, if you want to call it that, feels so forced. Like, I did not, and then maybe you're right. Maybe it's just the Mendez character, and that's why it was just so, like, it was so lackluster. It was so, just, it wasn't giving anything. It wasn't, it just felt like, no.
So here's the deal, right? I'm not gonna lie, I had to mentally prepare for a fight with you about this book, so I was coming up with my comebacks in my head. And I was ready to tell you, this book ain't got no spice. And I was ready for you to tell me that it does have spice, and it's not a closed-door romance. And I was going to tell you that this got bell pepper level of pepper spice in it.
Wait, where was the spice I was going to tell you about?
Listen, every time I say it's a closed-door romance, you tell me, no, it's open.
The door's cracked.
And I'd be so annoyed. And I was like, other than some kisses down her neck, ain't nothing happening in this book other than him pretending to be hot and cold but still in love with her somehow. And it didn't make sense to me. And I was like, if this is the subplot that's supposed to carry me through the main plot of her taking down an arms dealer, neither plot is working for me.
Okay, can we talk about that part too? So I feel like the whole first part of the book is supposed to establish like the relationship and the situation, right? And then like the whole end of the book is supposed to be like all the action. No. When when like the active like plot and spying started coming into play, it kind of got me hooked on the action because I was like, okay, things are happening. I'm here for it. All the reveals, boom, boom, boom. I was locked in. But like anything that wasn't that, like honestly, maybe this is a good like call out. I think like when Chan arrived, Officer Chan or Agent Chan, he was like the best spark in the book for me. It was just like, oh, he's so cool. Also, shout out to the to like the accessibility reference in the book. I love that. Yes, I was like, yay! So it was just like the first time I was just like, okay, I can kind of rock with something happening now.
Yeah.
And especially because like he arrived like the day after they had like a big kiss, which was like didn't do anything. I was just like, girl, you need to get out more. I don't like your sister was kind of right though.
He's the ops. Okay. No, I love Chan.
I like Chan, and I thought he was so cute. Not cute I just mean like him and his whole character.
Yeah, like
his whole character
energy.
was so cute. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish he had a bigger part.
I do too. I really do too. But once he kind of came in, that's when things kind of started on like the like spy action, we gotta move type energy. Yeah. And I was like, okay, yes, this. And I really wanted that portion to have started like earlier. Like the Oreo moment was kind of like to help establish their relationship, cute, fine, whatever. But it just, because it wasn't like,
it was such a long moment.
Yeah. It wasn't attaching me to them as a couple. Like I didn't believe, I just think Mendez established himself as a liar so early that I just never believed anything that came out of his mouth. In fact, the only time I knew he was lying throughout, but actually the only time I clearly knew that he was lying, but then Dove didn't figure it out, was when he was like, no, don't do it because you think like you care about me thing. And it was just like, okay, bro, whatever. But it just, like, I was here for like the plot, the situational plot when it started popping off. And for me, it was just like, okay, the whole thing was like going to Prague. It was like, you're supposed to go to Prague, all these things are supposed to happen. And then it was just like, they were just in the apartment baking like the whole time. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. So let's fast forward then to the good stuff where they finally take down Holt and they make a building explode. That was some good action there.
I was like come through spice. I wish we could have like seen it or something, but you know, it's still, you know. Happened.
And then we get back to the States. And how did you...
But before we get to the United States, though, like, this is where I love that Dove had her moment to shine in terms of, like, this is the thing that I do.
That's true.
And so it was like, give me another phone. Give me this. I was like, yes, girl, shut up, you smart. Because you've been acting dumb this whole time.
Acting or just being her?
You know. Oh, also, I just want to shout out a quick line because I wrote down a couple of quotes and I thought this one was hilarious. And it was basically when they were leaving the Holt base and they were going back to like the van. And then she was like, I was wheezing like an asthmatic donkey. I cracked up. I thought that line was so hilarious.
When she said, if we make it out of here, I'm going to the gym. And I don't mean just paying for the membership, actually going. I said, now that. That is real. I love that.
I loved it. Because it also like really showed her personality, which is what I think we got in the very beginning of the book. Like when she was doing the stuff with her friend, trying to like show her the gaps in her system. Like we got to see some of her actual personality and some of the Dove charm. Yes. And I think lines like that is what really brought it back. And it really happened like in the heat of all the like running, like even when she was kind of like back talking to Holt, it was just like, yes, girl, like be you. And that I really, really appreciated in the book. But yeah, I love how she was just like, yeah, my sister owes me a spa day and this and that.
I want concert seats and not nosebleeds. Exactly. She said, I'm
exactly. Yeah, I thought that was really, really cute. Yeah.
I want to talk about DC because I feel like that is where Dove redeems herself in my eyes. I don't know. For me, when we got to DC, first off, I already knew that Tobias was the problem. From the moment it was announced that Tobias had decided that she was going to Prague, I knew he was a problem, because what person in their right mind would send an untrained civilian into the line of fire?
Yeah. He was trying to get her got. He was trying to get her got. Absolutely. He was trying to get her got.
And Mendez handed off all the suitcases. I said, what are you doing? I would strap those to my body and say, if you want these, you're going to have to look at them in front of me. I don't trust you. And Dove going to be sitting next to me to make sure you don't hit the wrong key. We're not doing this. Okay, at this point, we already know there's a double agent in the CIA. So why are we allowing the proof of who that might be into random people's hands? We just don't care.
Even to that point, though, I thought it was very strange that when they walked into, like, Langley, that, like, there were people clapping and, like, waiting for them. Like, when I read that, my antennas were like, no one should know they're there. Like, as few people as possible should know that they're back in the States, that they have all these laptops and these phones.
And that an untrained civilian took down an arms dealer.
That part, too. And also, like, the FBI being there as well. Like, I was literally just like, our intelligence agencies can't be this unintelligent. Like, literally, I was reading. I was like, God, I hope this is so untrue. Because I was like, this is not smart. I was flabbergasted where I was just like, why are they making a big deal out of this? They should have put her, Mendes, Chang, and then higher up. Obviously, we know that Tobias was. We know. Oh yes, there. Sorry, Chang. We know that Tobias is the double agent, but other people don't. But I'm just like, I feel like the person that helps you gather those things, who has proven themselves that they are not in any way to be like compromised or to be suspicious. These agents that have established themselves, you let them finish it all the way out, and then you watch them. And also shout out to Dove, because even through everything, she knew and understood her sister in terms of like, this is for you. Make sure you take this.
Yeah, I do love that, because it's like at no point in this book did she question her sister.
Love that. I love that so hard. Like, even when she was just like, oh my God, okay, she actually is a spy. She lied to me and everything like that. I love that she never wavered in the fact that my sister is doing things because she has to do them, not because she has betrayed anyone or whatever the case may be. Right. Like, yeah, love that. So
then when we're in the communication girl's office, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't remember her name.
Kira.
Cool. Good talk. So communication girl's office, we're tippy typing on the keyboard, and Dove is in it. And this is where I really was like, yo, I rock with you. Because Kira comes over and Dove goes, you know what? This is it. We just gonna have to let it rock. And she said, I pushed her. All right. I don't know if I'm going to jail, but I pushed her. And she fought to finish this out and take Tobias down. And I said, now that's how you're supposed to do it, Dove. Now that's how you're supposed to do it.
Now, I want to circle back to what you were saying in terms of, like, if you had to be for the CIA, you'd be like, yo, run me my money before I make it to Prague. This was totally that element for me, because I was just like, real talk, Dove did a lot. And I was like, what's that compensation looking like? Because you can't just be like, thank you for your service. No. I was a private civilian working as a contractor. Where's my contract? And
where's my 1099 miscellaneous? Please and thank you.
I know y'all friends with y'all homies over at IRS. We can go ahead and expedite this process. Run me my money.
And then to make her move into an apartment nearby and keep an eye on her like she's the problem after all of this.
Well, I didn't really take it as that. I took it more so as like her safety, because everything wasn't wrapped up yet, so people might still come after her. Okay, we took that differently. But hold on.
Pretty
This
sure
is the
I read
thing
a
that
line.
I thought was interesting. this is something I found interesting, that she moved out of DC to Virginia, and I was just like, okay, but she was also mentioned the rent was cheaper and she got like more space because obviously you're leaving more of a populated city to whatever. But I was just like, why is she still paying rent? Like, that should be all on the industry, on the agency's dime, because she's basically in a modified witness protection until everything gets settled with Holt and those guys.
You know, I don't have a good answer for that. I don't. I'm how do I put this? I'm a little tired. I'm a little tired of the nonsense that is this book. I was so mad. I was so close to finishing this book at book club, and then I didn't finish the last chapter and a half. And I said, do I even want to finish the last chapter and a half? But I made myself do it. And I did it. Also, it says, so the CIA also moved her because they wanted her to testify against Holt and Tobias. Just
she was basically in like a little
witness protection.
That's why they couldn't have her live where people know she lives, so they had to like move her.
All of this is wrapped up, right? Madison is still out in the field. Mendez is Mendez. And there was no payoff of watching that on off again little flirtmance.
No, there's none at all. I think when Mendez like tells her his real name, that's cute. When he gets her, the sister's number so that they can talk, which they haven't really been able to do in a while. I thought that was adorable. But yeah, I have a question for you. Do you think the romance part of this could have maybe hit a little bit harder if we liked Mendez?
No.
I kind of agree, because I feel like as written, no matter what character you slide into that, it's just not...
Here's the thing, right? It's purely the way Mendez is written, all right? Because we don't have a guy who's like, look, I'm trying to protect you and your sister. I'm doing all I can. He just goes, nah, your sister the ops, and I'm going to take her down. I'm going to be nice and not, take her out on sight. I'm going to take her in.
Yeah, the like pinky promise not to kill your sister thing. I was like, okay, bro.
I'm telling you right now. Jesus could come down and tell me he needs to kill my brother. And I'm going to say, listen, I don't care if you walk on water. You're the ops now. All right? So the way Dove just goes, oh, thanks for the pinky promise. No, I'm hitting you upside the head with a frying pan. I'm finding my sister. And we going to do what we got to do together, because at the end of the day, we Flint and...
It's y'all too.
Whatever.
Yeah. Flint and steel.
Yeah, fire. This situation with Mendez just doesn't work. Yeah. The romance as it's written is not romance. It's almost like a...
Is Stockholm Syndrome the right word?
No. It's just like, that person that you just be flirty with, but you don't really mean it? That's what this is. That's
the appropriate word. Also, can I just say, I feel like we had all of the ingredients for a forced proximity that did not hit in the forced proximity like world. And I was just like, girl, you got the ingredients, put it in the pot.
And I think the problem also is we spend so much time inside Dove's head listening to her be like, well, is it in my head? Is it not in my head? Is it in my head? Is it not in my head? And I was like, at this point, you'd have a better time if it was in your head.
Yeah, I just feel like Mendez as a character through and through was really the issue. Because like I said, once the spy stuff starts popping off, I was here for that story.
Listen,
I think it took too long to start. I really think it took too long to start. But once it started popping off, and for me, like I said, it's when Chan arrives, and it's when they basically start to do the whole, like, the setup in the airport to follow and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Yes. So for me, it's like, from there, I was locked in for the spy storyline. Absolutely locked in. Everything else was kind of just like a little piece here, a little piece there, kind of was like, I just wanted all that to be like more condensed and concentrated because like the romance of it just was a complete miss for me to the point where I was like, I was really just attached to the spy portion of it and it was kind of like scattered.
Fair. So, now that we've talked so highly about this book.
You actually might be mad at my rating.
Jay, what did you rate this book?
I'm reading it a 3.5.
Oh. Okay.
I thought you were gonna be like, what? Okay.
No.
Yeah. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. Will I reread it? Maybe, just because like now that I've seen the full reveal, sometimes when I know the full story, I definitely like to reread it to kind of see like if and when there were more nuances that I didn't see or catch. And like I said, I feel like once the spy stuff started popping, I was locked in for that. And so I feel like if I read it again, I think I'll just completely ignore all the romance and then see it for the spy story that it may have been and do it that way. So yeah, I think a 3.5 because it's like, it wasn't horrible, but I probably will reread it at some point. But I can't say I love it. Yeah, I can't say that I love it, so I can't really be a 4 yet, so.
That's real. I gave it a 3.
Okay.
Number one, it takes a lot for me to read like a crime book of any sort and to not catch all of the clues. It takes a lot. So that was already a tall order, so I'm not going to hold that against her. But just the way it was written, it was like, it's very hard to take someone who's behind a computer and kind of make them the main character of a spy takedown story. So I give her props for that because she did an excellent job, especially in those final minutes of taking down Holt and everything.
Yeah. I feel like Dove is lovable. Dove is adorable. Yeah.
It definitely made me think of this show called Covert Affairs. Oh, okay. Somebody knows the show.
It's one of my favorite shows. It's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, Dove was definitely giving me a little mix of Augie and Petey Pablo, whatever her name is, Piper Pablo, something like that. So, it was a good time. I think, if someone's looking for an intro to spy novels, this might be a good option. I would put it there.
I will say this. The whole time reading it, and if I'm gonna like attach it to like a TV show and a TV character, I actually equated Dove closer to Felicity from Arrow, specifically because he used like flirting to try and get her to do stuff for him along the way, and of course she kind of knew it and was like, I'm doing it anyway, but she was a very smart woman, knew what she was doing through and through, and tried to help where she could. So I actually equated her more to like a Felicity type character. And I loved Felicity Narrow. She was my favorite character in that show. But yes, there was multiple times where I wanted kind of a little bit more of a covert affairs type feel to this. And every time I was reminded that she doesn't know Czech. Is that how you say the language? Yeah, I think that's how you say the language. So yeah, every time I was reminded that Dove doesn't know Czech while she's there, I was kind of like, yeah, you're not that useful once you don't have a keyboard in front of you, especially when you're in the field. So
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna look up how to say the language of Czech Republic, or whatever we're calling it these days.
Is
Czech.
it still the Czech? I think it's the Czech Republic, because it used to be, I think it used to be Czechoslovakia, and then they
Czechoslovakia. Now it's called the Czech Republic, also known as Czechia.
Okay, yes.
The official language is Czech.
Got you. I feel like I probably should know that because I have a couple of friends from the country, but to be fair, we always speak in English, so.
Well, Jay, good news for you. We did it.
We did it.
Episode 1 of season 2.
We did it.
There was no argument about rating this book. I'm so proud of you.
Yes. It's so funny. When I started reading this book, I was like, Chelsea's gonna want to punch me in the face.
It wasn't until I realized that not only was it a spy novel where I was picking out everything, but there was also no spice to get me through it, that I just went.
I didn't know I didn't know that it was clean until like I first started reading it, and then I was just like, oh, I was like, yeah. We don't fight.
But I behaved myself, and now
You did.
there's only one last thing to tell the people, and you're gonna look at me confused. While Jay sits there confused, it's my job to tell you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss the episodes, because this season is going to be a little bit different. We are now posting every 2 weeks and not every week. So, savor these episodes as they come out. We also got some fun stuff planned for the season. So, if you are not subscribed, you are the problem. You. Yeah, you. You're the problem. Also, don't forget, all the books we talk about are going to be linked down below at bookshop.org. And that is what helps us grow the channel when you buy books through our link. So, don't forget to follow us on social media. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Bye.